When we learn the future tense in Spanish 3, it should be a pretty easy one for us. In English, when we want to talk about what will happen in the future, we use the word will in front of the verb. I will go, and you will see, and we will. That's how we say what will happen in the future, but in Spanish it has its own tense and it has its own endings instead of using a helper verb. So the endings for that are going to be the same, whether it's an ER or an AR or an IR verb. So the endings for the future tense are going to be as, a, hemos, and just want to make sure that I have the right one for vosotros here since I don't use it often. All right. So when we're talking about what we will do, these are the endings that we're going to put onto any verb. But the difference with the future tense is that we're not going to start by taking off the ending like we usually do. So if you wanted to say that I will speak, we would say yo. We've got the verb hablar. We leave it as hablar. We do not take the ending off. And then we add hablaré. So no endings will be eliminated. We just leave the verb as it is. So if we will eat, then I would say nosotros comeremos. And we leave the comer as it is and we add our ending for the future tense. Now there are several irregulars in the future tense that we're going to have to remember. Even though they still have the same endings, they're going to have a slightly different version instead of just using the infinitive. And we'll just make a list of those here. The irregular future stems. So what we start with before we start adding all the same endings. So the first one that we're going to need to know is haber. Haber, the future stem will be without the E. So when we put our endings onto these, we're going to have the same endings as here. It'll be abre, abras, abra, abremos, and bran, but it just doesn't have quite the same form as the infinitive did. Some other ones are poder. The little stem will be without the E as well. So if I will be able to do something, I would say podré. Sorry, I'll just leave it as the stem, podré. Or if you will be able to podrás. Querer. Oops, getting ahead of myself. It's going to end up with a double R. Okay, same thing. It lost its E in there. So if they will want that, ellos querrán. And we'll add an extra R in there. Saber loses its E. Sabré, sabrás, sabrá. Poner. Poner is going to be pondré, pondrás, pondrá. Okay, so far all of these ones we just dropped the E. This one doesn't just drop the E, so maybe pay special attention to that one as you're studying the irregulars. We've got salir. That one has a D as well. Hacer. And decir and venir. This one's got a D in it. And this one just has dir. So once we get to this bottom half here, let's pay even more attention to these irregulars than we did the other ones. Okay, so these guys are irregular slightly because they lose their E in the infinitive, and then these ones we have to add a D, or hacer and decir are shortened versions. But that's how we're gonna form the infinitive. So if I wanna say that we will make something or we will do something, I'll use haremos. And it's as simple as that for using the future tense. Now we use this to say what we will do, but we also use the future tense in a special situation when we want to talk about the unknown. And they call it el futuro de probabilidad. Okay, so if we're not sure about something, let's give this its own little special box here. If we're not sure about something, we might say like, I wonder what time it is. Okay, and because I'm wondering it, and there's an unknown and it's a probability thing, we would say, ¿qué hora? Instead of ¿qué hora es? ¿Qué hora será? What time might it be? I wonder. Or if you want to say, it's probably 6 o'clock. Then we would say serán instead of son las seis, serán las seis. So if I know what time it is, I'd say son las seis, it is 6 o'clock. But if I'm just kind of guessing, I'm like, serán las seis, about this time, probably be about that time. And then, like, they must be under the bed. Okay, someone comes up to me, my kids come up to me, they're looking for stuff. I don't know, they might be here. Estarán debajo de la cama. So this can be a little confusing because this is the future tense. It does not mean they will for certain be under the bed. I'm using this as a probability thing. They'll probably be there. They might be there. It's possible that they'll be there. So we use this for situations that we're not super sure of, but we want to say, this could be the case. We use the future tense. Or when we want to say what will happen or what I will or you will do, then we use this future tense. And all of them will have the same exact endings. We just got to pay attention to what the stem is before we put those endings for the future tense.